Bobby gonna do that.
Because he had bad body language in game 1, game 2. In game 3, he came back and he had a positive vibe. Great energy on both sides of the floor, and he played good basketball.
Rudy ran from the yellow turtleneck.
It's just about time for tip-off, my friends. Let's get it over to the Hall of Famer, Mike Green.
Malika, this arena was fired up on Saturday night because their team was on fire. What a bounce-back game from the Timberwolves. And certainly what a bounce-back game from Julius Randle. And Minnesota is right back in the series. Now it's up to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Thunder. They need to recover from their worst beating of the season and try to take back the momentum. As we welcome you to NBA Courtside, sponsored by Pronamel. And good evening, everyone. Welcome to Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals with Richard Jefferson and Doris Burke. Mike Green on hand. Lisa Salters with us as well. After the first 2 games of the series, the Timberwolves appeared overmatched. But like they've done all season long, they showed their grit and toughness, and here they are right back in the series. And Richard, Game 3, it's one of the greatest performances in franchise history. And Anthony Edwards led in every possible way in what was a critical win.
Anthony Edwards was so impressive. His team did not play with enough force, enough intensity, and the two-way superstar showed up in Game 3. When you watch their team, they weren't pressuring the ball. Watch him track down both of these balls, outrunning both OKC defenders and finishing with the dunk. They only had 6 turnovers, OKC, in the first in Game 2. But what did they do in Game 3? 14 turnovers. And then Anthony Edwards, an efficient 5 from 8 from 3. That is big for the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're going to need him to be efficient on both ends of the ball.
Meanwhile, for Oklahoma City, they've been the best team in basketball all season long, and they lost by 42 points. Just unbelievable. Obviously, just one game, Doris, but what's the key for them in bouncing back after such a lopsided loss?
Well, Richard touched on some of the force Minnesota played with. They also tactically did some things to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander that disrupted his rhythm a bit. Watch Jaden McDaniels on this first play. He's going to meet him at the three-point line, knowing Shai's preference is not that three-point shot. If they did double higher on the floor, they did it with intention and great effectiveness. As he navigates to his sweet spot, the mid-range, he sees a ton of bodies. And if you can make him get to his mid-range and become a passer, and all that pressure makes him miss his target, you are doing your job. And maybe the most important thing, Mike, look at that bottom line. They stopped fouling Shai. Now I expect the MVP to respond. They need to get started with their defense.
Again, it was only one game, but the momentum of this series completely shifted with Game 3, as now we send it over to Lisa and get more on their recovery.
Yeah, Mike, well, it only counted, like you said, as one loss, but the Thunder say their collective team ego really took a hit in Game 3. Lou Dort said that a lopsided loss like that definitely hurts your pride, especially this late in the playoffs, because it was the only game being played. Everyone was watching, and everyone saw them get beat by 42. But as embarrassing as Game 3 was, and with their pride back on the line tonight, Alex Caruso said, we've just got to get back to being ourselves and not let the Timberwolves dictate the terms. The Thunder have only lost back-to-back games twice this season, and head coach Mark Daigneault said his team has been really good all year at responding to the emotions of each game, win or loss. But he said sometimes it's good to taste your own blood after getting punched in the mouth. The challenge now, Daigneault said, is to learn from it and be the team that throws the punches in Game 4. Mike?
All right, Lisa, so the question now, which side will have the momentum after Game 4? Will it be 2-2, or will Oklahoma City bounce back and take a commanding lead? Game 4, Western Conference Final, is coming up.
NBA Courtside on ESPN is presented by Pronamel Clinical Enamel Strength. 3 times stronger enamel with twice daily brushing.
Welcome back to NBA Courtside, presented by Pronamel. Here in Minneapolis, loyal Timberwolves fans dream of an NBA title. In their 36-year history in the NBA, they've never been to the NBA Finals. Most of the playoff appearances ending quickly. Last year's conference final ended in just 5 games. This year down 0-2 against a heavily favored opponent. In Game 3, they turned in one of the most dominant performances in franchise history. Tonight, a chance to tie the series and keep those championship dreams alive. Game 4 next.
4. Games to win a series to win a title. And tonight, every answer, it's 4. Studied, ready, this is an exam.
You won one game, protect the home court.
Believe in your strength and face the forces determined to test it.
Still down 2-1, so we gotta be ready to win the next game.
Just one more step, but they want it just as much. Maybe more.
You get punched, just about getting back up. That's what the next challenge is.
Teammates become family on this fantastic quest. Your future waits, and it's game 4.
The NBA Western Conference Finals are presented by AT&T. Connecting changes everything. And in part by Burger King. At BK, have it your way. You rule. And Google, proud sponsor of the NBA.
Here we go once again, the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves. It's game 4 of these Western Conference Finals presented by AT&T. A beautiful evening on this Memorial Day in Minneapolis. And a sellout crowd at the Target Center. Minnesota head coach Chris Finch speaking before. Our access brought to you by Intuit QuickBooks.
Remember, we found our aggressiveness the other day. We were really aggressive. We were up. We were active. And we made all the small plays. Don't forget, the heart of what we were talking about before going into that game was take Holmgren out of the game. Take Williams out of the game. You guys did a really good job there. Establish the standard that we need to play to right now. Let's go out and do it again. Here we go. Let's go.
What a job from Chris Finch as his Timberwolves annihilated Oklahoma City. Just shocking, not that they lost, but how badly they lost. That's their vaunted starting 5. Their head coach Mark Daigneault says they have a track record of turning it around. First for the Minnesota starting 5. What a performance from the opening quarter in that game 3. Again, not a must win, but going down 0-3 against OKC would have been a nightmare. And now, how does OKC bounce back? It is just fascinating, the roller coaster ride we've seen in these playoffs in so many different series.
Well, I try to tell people when they ask about the playoffs, they say don't get too high, don't get too low. But that's the trick. It is an emotional roller coaster. Physically, mentally, there is so much going on. And then you get the opportunity to watch a team answer.
Game 3 was the first time in this series that Minnesota came with greater force and physicality. It was the first time Oklahoma City felt like they had been on their heels in this series in quite some time. Can they get back to who they are?
Well, Minnesota was impressive in their reaction to the win postgame. You heard phrases like, hey, they still have a 2-1 lead. We're still down in this series. It's the first step in the right direction. They knew it's only one game. And a loss here tonight would put OKC right back in the commanding driver's seat. And Julius Randle, a big part of that victory on Saturday night. The crowd is ready. Man, the crowd was just explosive on Saturday night. Meanwhile, OKC trying to get this big win on the road. Just 3-3 on the road in these playoffs. They score a lot less on the road, and they allow a lot more points on the road. They allow 15 points per game more on the road in this postseason. So Randle guarded by Williams. Of course, Dort is on Edwards. There's some